What would you say you learned from making that album?
Learning learning is important to me, and my album has taught me so many lessons. First of all, I learned patience is important. So, I went with the whiteboard kind of like, oh, great, we're going to record in the studio for 3 months and then we're going to put it out. None of that happened. So, what I learned is to be fluid, and collaboration. An artist will do what an artist wants to do, just like I was doing what I wanted to do. So, I tried to rush the process. Your verse is fine. There was a scenario of an artist not feeling one of the verses they did and they wanted to re-record, and I was like, no, we have a deadline, and that record never came out. And I realized that actually I should have been more fluid. So you have to be patient. And another thing I realized is, don't forget, I was juggling. I think I have 11 records on that album. So I was juggling 11 records at the same time. I probably in hindsight would have done a shorter project. That's why people sort of do EPs and kind of do extended plays over long plays, because it was difficult. But I would say that I've learned also, you've got to be your biggest cheerleader. Despite having a label and having, the kind of like cushioning of marketing, I really had to shove my album down people's throats and really embody it and make sure I loved it. And another thing is that when you make the choice to change your form of expression, sometimes it takes a while for people to get used to it. So, I focus so much on being Cuppy the artist at that phase that I think Cuppy the DJ kind of suffered a bit, because I was obsessed with, artistry. And I remember when I found myself, I was booked for a show and they gave me a mic, and that was when I just thought, oh my goodness, I mean, no decks, just a mic. I was like, okay, it's happened. And that's how I know that I actually prefer DJing to artistry on its own, because I felt kind of like alienated. I felt naive. I just felt like naked without DJ decks in front of me. But that was an important phase for me to go through.
So when you're really engrossed in making your tracks, you're working on a record and you're listening to it over and over again. How do you deal with getting bored of your own records and keeping the passion there
That's
and keeping some kind of perspective on it?
That's such a great question. So it's funny. I was saying I recently got engaged, and
Congratulations.
thank you. And like, we got engaged after 2 days, which is quite hilarious. But I'm not here to talk about my love life. But the point there is, so we got to know each other backwards, and we're getting to know each other backwards. And Ryan, my fiance, is like, wait, your music is so good. And I was like, he's like, why didn't you play me this? He's there listening to, my records. And so what I found is, we all get bored of our own stuff. And watching someone else fall in love with it ignites that again. So I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, Karma was a good record. Gelato was lit. And so kind of like, again, that works for audience as well. But you'll never catch me in the car listening to my own records. Like, it's impossible. That comes with me being a sponge, because I want to hear other people's records and soak that in. And also that comes with, the continuous, that year of promotion, literally, I was like, I remember I'd be on radio, like when they're playing the song, I'm like, can we just put it down? Because it's literally like hearing the same thing over and over again. But watching someone like Ryan fall in love with it as a fan really gets me excited. And that happens with also my cupcakes, my fans in general. But I think also what I love is remix culture. I've been able to not release, but I've been able to be in the studio and sometimes rejig some of my records for fun, because there's constantly new genres, and that's really helped me. But I think it's something I need to work on. I don't know why. I don't know whether that comes down to criticism. My album did very well, but it was highly criticized because I think a lot of people weren't comfortable with this phase of, hey, wait, she's dropped the decks and picked up a mic. So I think maybe that in my mind has affected me a lot. I think also maybe having confidence is important. I'm not a born singer.
Mm-hmm.
I really had to work hard. I had to have a vocal coach to lay those verses down, and that was hard. I think it just didn't come natural to me. So, I listened to my voice and I'm like, oh, because I remember we had to do that take 100 times, so that's something I struggle with, and I wonder whether I'm the only one. I wonder how, but you surely think you're like, we're like, no, we know that someone like Thames or Beyonce you're thinking they probably don't get tired of their own voices because it's great, but actually sometimes they do.
Yeah, I think it's something that every artist deals with, and it's one of the reasons in my own production experience, I've experienced that a lot, and it's one of the reasons I wanted to start the songwriting camps, because these are challenges that music producers and artists face on a daily basis, but it's not often talked about.
Yeah, it
So
isn't.
how do you deal with it when you're actually in the moment, and to try and get some perspective on it?
What I have to do very often is I have to take breaks. Even last week we were working on a record, and I literally said to my team, I was like, you listen to it, because it started just becoming gray matter to me. We had made very tiny tweaks, but it's hard. It's a feeling that you have to sometimes step away from and reimburse in. Environments as well. My favorite thing is definitely listening to music in the car. In the past, for my album, I made my friend open his club early so I could just blast my album and listen to it in a club environment. I think also, you mustn't look to other people for validation. So, in the past, I've had maybe A&Rs I don't agree with. They've said that's stronger. I felt like the other was stronger. So it's important to basically use other people's ears, to reignite your own passion and your own love, because it takes you back to why you made that song and the way you felt. But you mustn't depend on other people. I think it's a fine balance. I think it's also important to take advice. So if someone feels a certain way and I agree, that is a great thing. And if I don't, it's okay. Music is, what is good music? Good music is music that people like, and not everyone will like it, and that's okay. We don't like all music we hear, and that's okay.
And even if you listen to your favorite record 300 times in a day, you're going to get bored of it.
You are going to get bored of it. And I think the kind of the top of the mountain there is just when it's fairly new, when it's fairly, it's kind of like maybe like the 50th time you've played it. But when you hit 500, you're just like, because music is not supposed to be overly anticipated. I don't make, my mixes aren't. I love to keep people on their toes, and I love to tease, and I love for people to be like, no, is that coming? Is that coming? So I also have to accordingly keep myself, on my toes, and that's hard to do. It's even annoying. I don't know how you feel when you're not DJing. Do you not find yourself just not being able to enjoy like a normal person? You're subconscious of another DJ, and you're listening and you're judging the mixes. It's so annoying.
Yeah. When you're listening to another DJ, you can't help but judge it.
I'm so annoyed. I just want to. I'm like, just it's your day off. Let it go. Enjoy it. I'm like, even that happened with me with everything. It happened with radio. I'm listening to people's links.
Yeah.
It even happens.
It happened to me as a radio producer.
It's so annoying, right?
Yeah.
Just enjoy it.